week's monumentally epic chapter of One Piece. The Dressrosa Kingdom has finally been saved, and CP0 has arrived, and they've brought with them some familiar faces. The Straw Hat Pirates have some brand new bounties, Sanji looks like he's only wanted alive, and not only that, but begun! The Throne Wars has. Okay, let me just go ahead and get the elephant out of the room, and that is sort of a pun because one of the characters returning this week just so happens to have a weaponized elephant. Spoiler warning if you haven't read this week's chapter saw the return of CP0, and we got to see some of them actually taking their masks off, and one of them is Spandam. That's right, Spandam has returned, his back has been fixed, and it looks like he's no longer the chief of CP5, and he's working directly under CP0, and it seems that his superior is none other than Rob Lucci. That's right, I believe that Rob Lucci has returned in this week's chapter because there is a scene where one of the members of CP0 slightly takes off their mask and only Rob Lucci could have that distinctive goatee and look. He has returned and oh my god, can I not wait to see if there's going to be a potential rematch with Luffy, because even after everything that's happened in the entire One Piece series, to me personally I think one of the greatest fights of the entire series, maybe the best so far, was still Luffy versus Rob Lucci. So I really cannot wait to see how CP0 is going to be involved, but that's just one of the major elements from this week's chapter, which was an incredible joy to read. Aside from everything with CP0, we got to see how they're wrapping up everything again with Dressrosa arc, with all of the people in the city just celebrating, rebuilding everything, and I do like the attention to detail, how they have the Kiro statue, which is now right next to a Luffy statue when he's all decked out in the Lucy costume, but right next to him is this amazing statue of Usopp, who has this freaked out face and his tongue is all wiggling out and everything. They really captured the essence of Usopp. It would have been really cool if we got statues for all of the Straw Hat Pirates, but then again, it would be a little strange for the Kingdom of Dressrosa to have all of these pirate statues just out in the open. Despite that, it seems like they pretty much wrap up everything in Dressrosa there, and we move on to some other cool stuff. We have this great scene where Doflamingo is actually being taken to Impel Down Prison, and basically he's just saying that a lot of crazy things are about to go down because there's a lot of really crazy people in the world. Of course, you have the Yonko, you have the Shichibukai, you have all of the people in the Navy, you have the revolutionaries, and you have, of course, the supernovas, which are the big up-and-coming pirates, and they really are up-and-coming because in this week's chapter, all of the Straw Hat Pirates get pretty much an increase in their bounties, and we get to see their brand new posters. Some of them have actually changed just oh so slightly. Some of the more funnier ones I think are interesting. One, Sanji. He's by far the most interesting for a number of reasons. One, they finally get rid of his old goofy photo, and they do update it. It still looks pretty ridiculous, but what's most interesting about his wanted poster is that it says he's only wanted alive. And this leads me to believe that the next arc, or maybe the one that's going to be following it, is going to be very Sanji-focused, and we're probably going to learn something about him that I think is going to shake up the series a little bit. I really cannot wait to see what that's going to be, and why they want him alive in the first place, but I imagine that's probably because, my theory right here, Sanji comes from royalty. He's a prince, and he's going to be really important to the story, so I really cannot wait to see what they're going to do with that in this next arc. But the other characters, like Luffy, he now has a 500 million bounty. He is a serious pirate at this point. Everybody's has increased, although, ironically, Usopp definitely got one of the biggest increases, and Frankie has still not crossed over the 100 million mark, and this really pisses him off, and he actually starts beating up Usopp, so Usopp really just cannot win in any situation. So safe to say the Straw Hat Pirates are now going to be a force to be reckoned with, and it seems like a lot of people are going to be paying more attention to them. Also, during that one scene with Doflamingo, there's this one pirate who's watching from afar, who I guess is this one mysterious Jack character that we've been hearing a lot about. He seems to have an affiliation with either Kaido or Doflamingo, and it seems like he's almost going to try and bust Doflamingo out, whether it means to try and bring him before his other bigger boss, or he wants to take him out himself, or he simply just wants to free him and make him his own subordinate. I have a feeling that these other characters are going to be a lot more threatening than Doflamingo, but his entire speech was incredibly ominous, especially about the whole Game of Thrones style thing, where basically all these pirates are going to be fighting for the throne of the pirate Pirate King, and that's because there's just so many of them now, and they're all so crazy and powerful. Just, the build-up is amazing. And then it's all followed by what might be the most ridiculous ship I have ever seen in the One Piece series, which is the Going Luffy, which is the personal flagship of Bartolomeo and his crew, which is basically all an homage to the Straw Hat Pirates, the Going Merry, and of course the captain himself, Luffy, who's actually the front of the ship. He actually has this like goofy, super even more cartoony version looking of Luffy that he can actually hang out and sit on top of, kind of like how Luffy used to sit on top of the Going Merry's goat head. The actual Going Merry's goat head is redesigned in the middle of the ship, and hilariously enough, even the other crew members of Bartolomeo's crew like are completely obsessed with the Straw Hat Pirates, so they're just like Bartolomeo. But this is also the scene where basically the Straw Hat Pirates say goodbye to all of their friends, all of their brand new comrades, they exchange some papers, and they decide to go off on their next big adventure. So what's the rundown on this week's chapter of One Piece? Rob freaking Lucci. That's all I gotta say. 5 out of 5. This week's chapter was so freaking fantastic and an amazing build-up with some great revelations in this one. Just so many amazing moments, and I still can't quite tell where this story is going, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that we have all these new characters who are being rapidly introduced. We get the return of CP0, who obviously looks like it's going to bring in the return of Spandam and Lucci. How are they going to be involved? You got freaking Sanji, who is now being wanted alive on his poster, which is something that's very significant to that character. They're separated from the Straw Hat Pirates. You got this weird guy who's mysterious looking at Doflamingo's ship and all the other Marines. How in the hell are they going to get past Fujitora, frickin' Sengoku, all those people there? This is going to be one hell of a surprise. It's also a promise that things are just going to get even more crazier and overblown from here, so I really cannot wait to see how Oda is going to up his game. But this week's chapter was a lot of fun, featuring some fantastic dialogue, some amazing artwork, and the returns of some fan-favorite characters. Rob Lucci returning in the series has got me so excited, because I can't wait to see what he's learned over the course of the time skip, how much more powerful he's become. Because despite the fact that Luffy did defeat him in battle, it was still a really difficult time for him, and he really had to give it his all, and by the time he did defeat Lucci, Luffy could barely even move. The guy was completely incapacitated, so I really can't wait to see where he's learned and why he is now the leader of CP0. Another thing that I really liked about this week's chapter was just the surprise of CP0, because I always imagined that it was going to be just a bunch of new characters, and I do imagine that a few members of the group are going to be completely new, but just the fact that Lucci is actually like the leader of this group is really shocking to me, because I always figured CP0 was going to be like that one super secretive group that was always led by these badasses that were always around, but it seems like they're always looking for a new leader, and Lucci really does live up to the badassery, so I cannot wait to see what this guy is going to do. The character of Jack, at least that's who I'm assuming is Jack, the guy who's actually watching Doflamingo's ship. This is a character we've seen in Shadow and mentioned in passing, and I don't even know if it is that character, but that's just the assumption that I'm going on, and it seems to be the theory that most people are sticking with. But I really can't wait to see where this is going, if they're going to bust out Doflamingo, or if they're just going to straight up punish and kill him for all of the things that went down in the Dressrosa Kingdom. But even with that whole little bit at the end with Sanji is so ominous and interesting, and I really can't wait to hear a lot of people's theories as to really what's going on with him, if he really does have some sort of weird mysterious past that we don't quite know about, that may be something that the Marines know about, and that's why they want him in alive. He might be even more important than we actually realize. Also, just little funny bits. Like, I really like how they finally decided to update the wanted posters of the Straw Hat Pirates. They're all pretty unique at this point, which I think is great, and some of them are really funny, and it's just great to see the reactions to all of them, and just the fact that Bartolomeo keeps like this whole shrine of them, where they're all framed and autographed and everything in his ship, which is, again, just a big homage to the Straw Hat Pirates themselves. What I can say is this week's chapter of One Piece was an absolute joy to read. It had some great artwork, some amazing dialogue, lots of great teases, old characters returning that are awesome. Just cannot get enough of this week's chapter of One Piece. It's got me so excited for all of the coming arcs that are getting ready to pop off, so let's just get really excited, guys. So I'm going to give this week's chapter a 5 out of 5. I thought it was freaking awesome, and if you're a One Piece fan, you should definitely check it out. But before you guys leave, I want to hear your thoughts about this week's chapter of One Piece. Are you excited to see the return of Spandam and Rob Lucci? Do you think any other members of CP9 have actually returned and joined CP0? What do you want to see from that organization? And what's the deal with that one mysterious pirate who's watching Doflamingo's ship? What do you think they're going to do? And what's the deal with Sanji? Please tell me all of your theories and your comments in the comment section below. And let's get hyped as we get ready to set sail into the next arc of One Piece. Thank you guys for watching my review. Make sure to like it and share the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you can see all of our latest anime and manga reviews as they are released. You guys can also check us out on social media. I also highly recommend that you guys check out our weekly podcast show, The Powerful Nerdcast. Both me and Christian, and occasionally we have a guest on the show. We just talk about everything. Anime, manga, movies, TV, shit that's going on in politics, really whatever we want to. And it's also a really great way to communicate with us. We really want to hear more from you guys, and that's a great way to do that. So make sure to check that out. Follow us on social media, all that jazz. But remember, as always, the best way to support our channel is to simply watch the videos, comment on them, and share them with your buddies. So thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby.